Hello class and welcome back. Alright, now we shall see the second method of requirement structuring, that is logical modeling, and it comprises of structured English, decision trees and decision tables. That is, we shall see these three different methods of logical modeling, and here they are. First of all, we shall see what is logical modeling. Logic modeling involves representing the internal structure and functionality of the processes represented on data flow diagrams. Okay, that means it represents the process involved in process modeling, such as that of data flow diagrams. In the analysis phase, logic modeling will be complete and reasonably detailed, but it will also be generic in that it will not reflect the structure or syntax of a particular programming language. There are three traditional tools for logic modeling. First one is structured English, second one is decision tables, and followed by decision trees. We shall see the different functions of these three tools of logical modeling in details in the following slides. Here, structured English is a modified form of English language which is used to specify the logic of information system processes. Although there is no single standard, structured English typically relies on action, verbs, and noun phrases and contains no adjectives or adverbs. That means it consists of only verbs and nouns. That is the noun and the action of a noun, that is verbs. Next, decision table is a matrix representation of the logic of a decision which specifies the possible conditions for decision and the resulting actions. Usually there are three parts in a decision table: the condition stubs, the action stubs, and the rules. We shall see all about these different parts of a decision table in the following slides. Next, we have a decision tree. A decision tree is a graphical technique that depicts a decision or choice situation as a connected series of nodes and branches. Decision trees have two main components: the decision points and actions. Nodes represent decision points while actions are represented by oval. Alright, now let us see the comparison among the three, that is among structured English, decision table, and decision tree. And the first criteria is determining conditions and actions. The best one is decision tree, which is then followed by structured English. Here, structured English is the second best, and the third best is decision table. Next criteria, transforming conditions and actions into sequence. The best one are structured English and decision tree, whereas decision table is the third best. Next, checking consistency and completeness. The best are decision trees and decision table, whereas structured English is the third best. The comparison between decision tables and decision trees is shown in the following table. The first criteria being portraying complex logic. Decision table is the best one, whereas decision tree is the worst. Portraying simple problems, decision tables is opted as the worst method or the worst tool, whereas decision trees is the best one. Making decision tables here is opted as the worst, whereas decision trees is opted as the best. More compact, decision tables are the best, whereas decision trees are the worst. And easier to manipulate, decision tables are easier to manipulate, whereas decision trees are the worst, or it is difficult to manipulate. Now let us see the first one, the first tool, that is structured English. Structured English is a narrative form of English written as a series of blocks that use indentation and capitalization to represent an hierarchical structure of logic specifications. You will see in the following slide how structured English is being represented or is used. This method does not show any decision or rules, but it states the rules and is used when an individual or an organization is trying to overcome the problems of an ambiguous language by stating the actions and conditions used when making decisions and formulating procedures. Structured English is based on a structured logic. Alright, please remember there are three terms used in structured English, that is if, then, else. Alright. It is used when process logic involves formulas or iteration, or when structured decisions are not too complex. Alright. Here, structured English always opt for simple decisions. Alright. Structured English is used to express all logic in terms of sequential structures, decision structures, iteration, and case structures. This modified form of English is used to specify the logic of information processes by using a subset of English vocabulary to express process procedures. As Wikipedia explains structured English, it says that structured English derives from structured programming and its use of logical construction and imperative statements. This process is designed to carry out instructions for actions by creating decision statements that use structured programming terms, as I've mentioned earlier, if, else, and then. It is best used when sequences and loops in the program must be considered and the problem needs sequences of actions with decisions. It does not have strict syntax rules. It expresses all logic in terms of sequential decision structures and iterations. Structure statements are developed and defined by using the following types of statements. Sequence structure. This is a single step or action included in the sequence process. It does not depend on the existence of other conditions. If the sequence structure does encounter condition, it is taken into consideration. Alright. Such a condition would be if customer pays advance. That will be a condition. Or another condition is purchase amount. Another condition is if the customer is a regular customer. Alright, that will be an example of a condition. Then decision structure. This occurs when two or more actions rely on the value of a specific condition. The condition is expanded and the necessary decisions are made. Next one, we have iteration or repetition structure. Certain conditions will only occur after specific conditions are executed. Iterative instructions help an analyst describe these specific cases. As you can make out from this example here, these are the sequences of actions. Alright, here if a customer pays in advance, then you give 5% discount. Alright, here if will always represent a condition, and then it will perform an action. Right, if a condition is if a customer pays in advance. So, and then the action taken here is to give 5% discount and so on. Right? Now let us move on to decision trees. Decision trees are a method for defining complex relationships by describing decisions and avoiding the problems in communication. A decision tree is a diagram that shows alternative actions and conditions with a horizontal tree framework. That means it resembles the branches of a tree. Thus, it depicts which condition to consider first, second, and so on. Decision trees depict the relationship of each condition and their permissible actions. A square node indicates an action, as I've mentioned earlier. A circle or an oval indicates a condition. It forces analysts to consider the sequence of decisions and identifies the actual decision that must be made or the decision that must be taken. Here, condition number 1. Right, is a circle. Right, here number 1 represent the condition. Alright, number 2 here represents the first action, and number 3 is the third condition, and so on and so forth. Please remember, the circle or an oval represent or indicates a condition, whereas the square or a rectangle represents an action. Alright, again from the previous example of structured English, here is proven sequence of action. When represented in the form of a decision tree, it will look like this. Alright, C1, that is the first condition, C2 is the second condition, C3 is the third condition. Alright, and then those give 5% discount, 5% discount, no discount, no discount. Those will be the actions. Right? Let us see the advantages of decision trees. Decision trees provide a clear indication of which fields are most important for prediction or classification. A tree output is easy to read and interpret. They can be used as a baseline benchmark for other predictive techniques. Alright, we can always refer to the actions and conditions in the decision tree in order to carry out other techniques such as decision tables. Okay, and decision trees are able to generate understandable rules. Decision trees require relatively little effort from users for data preparation. Usually, the developer will always frame a decision tree, or he or she will be the one to design a decision tree. Decision trees perform classification without requiring much computation. Decision trees can handle both numerical and categorical variables. Next, decision trees are not affected by outliers and missing values to a fair degree. And the last advantage of decision tree is that a multitude of business problems can be analyzed and solved by decision trees. Although it has many advantages, yet there will be certain drawbacks or limitations, and these are: decision trees are less appropriate for estimation tasks where the goal is to predict the value of a continuous attribute. They are unstable in the sense that small change in the structure of the optimal decision tree, when there is small change to be made, then it becomes unstable. They are relatively inaccurate when compared to other predictors. Many other predictors perform better with similar data. Calculations can get very complex, particularly if many values are uncertain, if many outcomes are linked. Alright, then let us move on to decision tables. Decision tables are a method of describing the complex logical relationship in a precise manner which is easily understandable. Alright, It is useful in situations where the result actions depends on the occurrence of one or several combinations of independent conditions. Here, decision tables also relies on the actions and conditions. All right. It is a matrix containing row or columns for defining a problem and the actions. The following are the components of a decision table. First one is the condition stub. It is the upper left quadrant which lists all the conditions to be checked. All right. It is the upper left quadrant which lists all the conditions to be checked. Next, we have the action stub. It is the lower left quadrant which outlines all the action to be carried out to meet such condition. And next, we have the condition entry. It is the upper right quadrant which provides answers to the questions asked in condition stub quadrant. And we have the action entry. It is in the lower right quadrant which indicates the appropriate action resulting from the answers to the conditions in the condition entry quadrant. The entries in decision tables are given by decision rules which define the relationships between combinations of conditions and the course of action. In rules section, Y shows the existence of condition. See here, Y. All those rows and columns which has Y, those represents the existence of a condition, and represents the condition which is not satisfied. Okay, that means N means not satisfied. A blank against action states it is to be ignored, means that has no action. All right. X or a check mark, it is against the action states to be carried out. I forgot to include one diagram here, but you can refer to the material that I've uploaded beforehand. All right, we will see the components of a decision table. Okay. Now let us see the advantages of decision table. When the conditions are many, then the decision table helps to visualize the outcomes of a situation. Thus, they are simple to understand, and everyone can use this method to design the test scenarios and test cases. They are easy to draw. They provide more compact documentation. Decision tables can be changed easily according to the situation. We can always add or delete a row or a column from a decision table. All right. Decision tables summarize all the outcomes of a situation and suggest suitable actions. Decision tables have a standard format. Although it is in the previous advantage, it shows that it can be easily changed according to the situation, and we also see that it has a standard format. Here we can say that although a decision tables have a standard format, it is represented in the form of rows and columns, right? So the reason why it can be changed is that we can always add a row or a column, or we can always delete a row or a column from the decision tables. The advantages of decision tables are decision tables cannot express the complete sequence of operations to solve a problem. It may be difficult for a programmer to translate a decision table directly into a computer program. Next limitation of decision table is that it do not show the flow of logic for the solution to a given problem, right? means the flow of action from one condition to another is not seen or is not visible. Alright, when there are many alternatives, the decision table cannot list them all. Decision tables only present a partial solution. Next, we have the difference between the decision tree and decision table. Right? The basis of comparison. First, description. A decision table is a table that indicates condition and action in a simplified and orderly manner, whereas a decision tree is a graphical representation of possible solutions to a decision based on certain conditions. Purpose. The purpose of a decision table is to structure logic by generating rules derived from the data entered in the table itself. Please remember those X, Y, N, and A. Right? The purpose of the decision tree is to give an effective and easy way to visualize and understand the potential options of a decision and its range of possible outcomes. Types. Types of decision tables are extended entry table and limited entry table. And on the decision tree, there are two types of decision tree. They include categorical variable decision tree and continuous variable decision tree. The conditions on the decision table is that they will always have the same number of conditions that need to be evaluated and actions that must be performed, even if the set of branches being analyzed is resolved to true. Whereas a decision tree can have only one branch with more conditions that needs to be evaluated than other branches on the tree. Representation. A decision table lists causes business rule conditions which are represented through the use of matrix where each column represents a unique combination. Please remember, decision tables are always represented in the form of rows and columns. Each branch of decision tree represents a decision option, its cause and probability that it is likely to occur. Under the analysis, each row of a decision table collects and stores its data separately and then combines the data with a specific or customized template to generate a rule. A decision tree creates a comprehensive analysis of the consequences along each branch and identifies decision that needs further analysis. Under the condition of communication flexibility, decision tables have flowchart symbols that are not always standardized, and this sometimes hinders the communication value. Whereas the nodes in decision tree are always standardized and hence the tree output is easy to read and interpret. Alright, that is all about logic modeling, which are structured English, decision tree and decision tables. And in the next class we shall see data modeling, that is ER or entity relationship data modeling. Thank you.